Good afternoon, folks. I'll be ready for the show as soon as I put the topic up for y'all. Okay, here we go. It's a narrative I made. Talks about the part of dementia that no one wants to talk about, that they see every day when they're an aide in the dementia wing or dementia unit of a nursing home or a hospital, or in some cases end of life hospice care. When people have dementia, we see this also. So let me enlighten some folks. Here we go with today's B for you. The violence we do we we do not talk about in dementia care, and the people caught inside it. The incident didn't begin with a scream. It began with a sound so ordinary it barely registered. The soft shuffle of slippers on insularium floor. A woman, small bird boned, drifting in the fog of late stage Alzheimer's, wandered into another resident's room. She wasn't looking for anything. She wasn't even fully awake. She was simply moving the way people with dementia often do, following some internal compass that no longer points anywhere. The man in the room, startled, his dementia made him hypersensitive to intrusion, to noise, to sudden movement. He rose quickly, too quickly, and in the next moment, the one that would replay in the minds of the staff for months. He shoved her. She fell. The crack of her body hitting the floor was louder than the shove itself. By the time staff reached them, the man was crying. He kept saying, "I didn't mean it." Though he couldn't remember what it was, the woman lay still, her breath shallow. Her eyes unfocused. She would die days later. It was the kind of story, this is the kind of story we rarely tell. Not because it is rare, but because it is unbearable. The hidden violence of dementia care. When families imagine dementia care, they picture soft blankets, quiet hallways, gentle hands. They do not picture the moments when confusion turns into fear, when fear turns into aggression, when aggression turns into harm. But those moments are happening over and over in facilities across the country. And they are not sudden. They are not unpredictable. They are not inevitable consequences of dementia. They are the consequence of a system that asks caregivers to do the impossible with too little time, too little training, and too little support. The warning signs no one has time to see. Ask any caregiver, and they'll tell you violence in dementia care has a rhythm. It it builds slowly. A resident begins pacing more. Another becomes intolerant of noise. Someone starts wandering into rooms that aren't theirs. Staff notice, they document, they worry. But they are already stretched thin. They are already behind. They are already praying that tonight will be quiet. The storm gathers and then it breaks. Afterward, the paperwork begins, the investigation, the corrective action plan. Saw it coming. But the deeper truth remains. Everyone saw it coming, and no one had the capacity to stop it. The caregivers who carry the weight. I think often of the nurses who knelt beside the man who shoved the woman. She held his trembling hands and whispered, "It's okay," even though it wasn't. She had warned leadership that his aggression was escalating. She had asked for a room change. She had asked for more supervision. She had asked for more help. She didn't get it. Caregivers carry those moments like stones in their pockets. They know the violence is not malicious. They know it is the disease, but they also know it is the system. It's understaffing. It is turnover. It is lack of dementia specific training that turns vulnerability into danger. They go home after their shift. They go home after their shifts and replay the incident in their minds. They wonder what they could have done differently. They wonder why they were left alone to manage a situation that required a team. They wonder how many more stones they can carry. The families who trusted us. Families place their loved ones in dementia care because they cannot keep them safe at home. They trust that the facility will not do what they cannot. They trust the facility will do what they cannot. When violence erupts, the trust fractures. I have sat with daughters who ask, how could this happen? I have sat with sons who say, we thought she'd be safe here. I have sat with spouses who whisper, I failed him, even though they didn't. The truth is that families are failing their loved ones. The system is failing all of us. The residents who are not villains. The man who shoved the woman was not violent before dementia. He was a father, a machinist, a church volunteer. He loved fishing and crossword puzzles. He had a gentle laugh. Dementia took his impulse control. The care environment took everything else. He cried after the incident. He cried not because he remembered, but because he had done but because he sensed deep in the fractured architecture of his mind that something terrible had happened. And he was somehow responsible. We owed him more than blame. We owed him a system that recognized his disease and protects him from its consequences. We know how to prevent these stories. Violence in dementia care is not inevitable. It is the result of choices, policy choices, funding choices, staffing choices. We know what works. We know what works. Enough staff to anticipate and redirect behaviors before they escalate. Okay, guys, the reason why I'm doing this show this afternoon is to bring this message to light for people. Okay, so let's go. Training that teaches caregivers how to de-escalate fear, confusion, and agitation. behavioral health support that responds in hours, not weeks, environments designed to reduce noise, confusion, and overstimulation, care plans updated at the first sign of change, not after harm occurs. These are not luxuries, they are the minimum requirements of humane care. The story we must tell again and again. If we want to prevent violence in dementia care, we must stop treating these incidents as isolated tragedies. We must tell the truth. They are symptoms of a system stretched past its breaking point. We must tell the stories of the residents who wander, the residents who startle, the residents who strike out in fear. We must tell the stories of the caregivers who try to hold the world together with too few hands. We must tell the stories of the families who trusted us and were betrayed by a system that cannot keep pace with their needs of the people it serves. And we must tell these stories not to shock, but to demand change. Because, because the violence in dementia care is not the violence of cruelty, it is the violence of neglect. Systematic, predictable, preventable, and until we build a system worthy of the people who depend on it, the stories in caregivers' pockets will keep piling up.